Gibraltar, the controversial British overseas territory on the rock. Let's head there now, let's check it out, and let's see what's going on there. So I was staying in La Linea, just over the border in Spain, and therefore to get to Gibraltar, we have to go through passport control. Obviously Spain is in the EU, Gibraltar is not as part of the UK. However, that is changing. They have changed the agreements, and it should be part of the Schengen zone soon. But for my visit, that was not the case, so we had to do passport control. It was all very, very quick and easy. I got stamped out of the EU, as you can see, and then walked through to the British Customs and Passport Control. Obviously didn't need a stamp for this part because I'm from the UK. And then we went through customs control, which was, a breeze. I didn't get pulled over, so just wandered straight through there, and we were heading in towards Gibraltar. Well, there we have it. After a quick passport check and a quick stamp out of the EU, we are in Gibraltar. Today I am taking the opportunity to do something you can't do in many places, which is walk across an airport runway. Handy little signal to see if there's a plane coming. There is actually a plane due in about 20 minutes, so I'm not sure how in advance they close the runway, but this is not something you can do in many places, so I am taking a full advantage. Well, this is really reminding me of when I was in Tuvalu, guys, walking across the runway there. It's on a slightly different scale to Tuvalu though, and there's no locals having picnics on the runways. There's the old National Stadium there, Victoria Stadium. They've built a new stadium the other side of the rock now though, and I think that one's getting demolished. Just after you pass the runway, you come past the Victoria Stadium, which was the National Stadium of Gibraltar and has hosted internationals and European games. And that is why the runway was on red, because there was a BA flight landing in from London. Probably a good job that they've got the security staff there to make sure that no one gets caught in that, because that one came in quite hot. Obviously Gibraltar is a British overseas territory, so there are some eccentricities and, well, reminders are all around you that you are sort of in Britain. Red phone boxes for one. So one of the other intriguing things is that you will see money changes everywhere, and that is because as part of the UK you pay for goods here in British pounds. However, a large number of the workforce live in Spain, live over the Spanish side, because it is significantly cheaper to live in La Linea or Algeciras than it is to live here in Gibraltar. And we're just going to sort of get into the main city now. Some maps to show you, sort of. So we crossed in there, we've walked sort of round there, and we're going to walk through the middle there, and we're going to go up the rock itself as well. So we'll get into it now. Well, this main street is quite busy. There's a lot of hustle and bustle. Unsure as to whether that's locals or workers or just tourists. Not really sure. Probably get a better sense of that throughout the day, just to see if everyone disappears when it's time for a cruise ship to leave or something. Continuing the trend of things that will make you realise that you're in a British overseas territory, here is a Marks and Spencer's. Don't tend to see them outside the UK. Outside the UK. The main street is pretty nice. I've not really shown you very much of it because it's basically just designer shops, jewellery stores, leather jackets, things like that, which is not really that interesting. But we will get into some real interesting bits now in a minute. Right, well, this fairly unassuming building here, this is the government building of Gibraltar. Gibraltar has some form of self-governance, but they are overseen by the Member of Parliament who deals with British overseas territories as well. So that is that building by there, and then very conveniently, this building just across the road is the official governor's residence of Gibraltar. Apparently that's been the residence since 1720s, which is basically since Gibraltar had British rule. There's some nice looking pubs here, so I might have to have a pub lunch and maybe a pint at lunchtime. Well, I just went into a shop to get myself a drink in the hope that this would happen. Shout out to the Diet Coke that I'm about to drink. When you pay in cash in Gibraltar, they use both British sterling and Gibraltarian pounds. And, as I was hoping, my change is in both. Well, I think next on the agenda is going up there. I think we're going to get the cable car up because I'm not sure I've got to walk in me that long today. It is, it's quite muggy here in Gibraltar today. Muggy is slang for humid, if you didn't know what that word meant. So yeah, I think the cable car station is sort of down this road that I'm walking down. So apparently on a clear day you can see all the way to Morocco, which is out that way somewhere. However, today it's cloudy and you can barely see Algeciras, which is just my luck. I will talk you through the pricing. So it costs £19 to come up in the cable car, and then it's another £30 if you want to explore the like National Reserve, which is where the castle is. And yeah, I have gone for that option because, well, we're in Gibraltar. Kind of got to come up the rock when here, haven't you? So yeah, it's fairly pricey, £49. It's quite a lot of money, in my opinion. Will it be worth it? I don't know. Already got some good monkey footage. They robbed a poor man of his crisps. 2 packs, I know. Big fan of the kettle chips so far, I've seen. So that was quite funny. They are quite vicious apparently. But that fella took it in quite good humour that his crisps got robbed. The interesting thing about these monkeys is that they're not some tourist gimmick. They are actually wild macaques. They're the only wild monkeys in all of Europe. These chains might have some historical significance, but I like to think is where they put the bad monkeys if they steal too many crisps. That's really quite an interesting sign to read. I'd known that Gibraltar was obviously fought over, but I'd kind of assumed that that was down in the town. I didn't think there'd actually be fights and battles up here on the rock. Quite a tricky place to try and manoeuvre, I assume, before the cable car. Well, that cafe was a perfectly nice place to hang out for sort of 15 minutes, cool down, grab a drink, fairly reasonable too. And now I'm going to go back down in the cable car, which has quite a large queue by the looks. Well, I decided to walk down from the top of the rock to where the siege tunnels are. It was a bit of a long walk and I got a bit hot, but I'll be honest, the content wasn't particularly great, so I cut it. However, I did in fact have a Mr. Whippy ice cream from the entrance to the siege tunnels, which was fantastic. Well, here you go. From this hole you can see right across. You can see a big cemetery by there, and you can see the terminal of Gibraltar Airport by there as well. Well, the tunnels continue down there, but considering it's now 2 o'clock and I've kind of seen enough, I'm gonna leave it at that. We're gonna go out and we're gonna see the Moorish castle. So from what I've been reading, Gibraltar was sieged a lot of times. The Great Siege lasted 3 years, and those tunnels were built in order to get around a blind spot in Gibraltar, which is that you can't see through a big cliff. Basically, you can't see through the rock. So they dug tunnels through the rock so that they could see out this way. Basically, makes a lot of sense. And I presume it was fairly effective because it wasn't sieged again after that siege, so probably makes sense. Nice view down to La Linea. You can see La Linea's football ground down there as well. There's a big cruise ship down there, which I presume is why it's so busy here today. Yeah, so the castle is closed. They are doing some refurb to it, which is fair enough. But yeah, can't go in there. You can kind of see it there. So yeah, we'll walk down into the city now. I need to get some food, a bit hungry, so go and do that. I think it's kind of just down here. I don't really know how far it is. And just like that, we're in what looks like the city again. Not sure how far of a walk it is, or whether it's worth me getting the bus. I'm not quite sure. No, that was good timing. I think I'm going to jump on this and save myself a bit of a walk. Well, this wasn't the type of bus that I thought we were going to be getting. It was like a minibus. It cost £1.80 down into town. Yeah, pretty good. Clearly serves like an older community more than tourists. Well, the bus I was on actually broke down. So I'm going to just wander from here. We're back down in the lower bit of the town anyway. Well, just like that, we're back where we were earlier. That's the main street there. The governor's house is just by there. I was going to talk to you about whether I thought the rock was value for money. It's a tricky one really, because it was fairly expensive. So it's £49. Okay, granted, I could have got the cable car one way because I walked down, so it would have been £46.50. That's quite a lot of money. You can get fairly good pictures of the rock just by getting the cable car, so that would be £19. But if you wanted to do any of the bits where you got the scenic viewpoints or the tunnels or things like that, or really seeing the monkeys, then you really needed to pay the extra 30. Haven't made my mind up on whether I think it was good value for money or not yet, if I'm honest. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not quite sure is the answer. I do find it quite funny that they've got a card factory here. Okay, sat myself down at a cafe. This place accepts euros as well. I'm surprised more places don't, if I'm honest. Quite a good menu. I will tell you what I go for. Well, I decided to go for a Caesar salad, which is a rogue choice for me, but was particularly nice actually, even though the croutons were actually just toast, and there was a lot of tomato in there for a Caesar salad, but do you know what? Great. Well, that hit the spot perfectly for lunch, something a bit light, didn't want anything too heavy considering how warm it is. We're back at Marks and Spencer's now, which is making me laugh still. So we're gonna get the bus now, and we're gonna head down to Europa Point. Europa Point is the southernmost point of Gibraltar, and hopefully we're gonna be able to see across to North Africa. Well, this is Europa Point. This is the southernmost point of Gibraltar behind me. The rock in front of me, and a very swanky looking mosque as well. Out there, all the sea traffic that's about to pass through the Strait of Gibraltar one way or the other. It's a really nice view over the rock there. Mad to think I was up there earlier. But behind here, this is the lighthouse. I'm gonna throw some phone footage over this now, but this is the narrowest point of the Strait of Gibraltar, as you can imagine, being named Gibraltar. But this is the narrowest point between Europe and Africa. So just over there is Morocco and North Africa, and then here is the bottom tip of Europe. It's not the southernmost tip. The southernmost tip is just over that way, a place called Tarifa, but North Africa juts out a little bit more here, so this is actually the narrowest point. They've got a nice looking little lighthouse there. I'm not sure whether it still works or not. I assume that all the boats have GPS now instead. So yeah, this is Europa Point. I'm going to take a wander over there, see if there's anything over there. There's a very large Asian tour group, I assume Chinese. They're all taking it in turns to kiss their partners at a sign that says "Kiss me here," which is quite sweet. And they're all having their usual photos with the landmark behind. There's not really much of interest down here, just sort of taking photos of the lighthouse, unless you're into football. And if you are, that is the Europa Point Stadium. Yeah, it's the other football ground in Gibraltar, and it's going to be the future national stadium because they're demolishing the one that I went to earlier, the Victoria Stadium. And so this is where the games are going to be based out of. It's a bit of away from town, if I'm honest, but there is more space here. They're doing some sort of work there. I think they're putting in a second stand behind the goal, and there's a big seated stand over the far side. I don't think you're going to be able to see very well on this, but I'll show you anyway. See, over there. This ground also doubles as a cricket ground, if you're interested. Well, there is a little cafe down here actually, so I take it back, there is something down here. Grabbed a Magnum. I've not had a Magnum in years. Well, we're back on the main street now. This is what I didn't show you earlier. Pharmacies and souvenir shops, tobacconists, jewellery shops, tons of jewellery shops. There's jewellery shops everywhere. It's almost like you'd think there was money here. Cosmetics, currency exchanges, as I promised you. A Matalan. Didn't know they had a Matalan here. I hadn't seen that yet. Excellent. And what's this one? A boutique. Pandora. I'm not going to keep doing this all the way down the street. Well, we're on the big square in Gibraltar, just as you, well, we came through here earlier this morning. It's called Casement Square. This is where you find lots of big chains. There's a Taco Bell. There's a Costa Coffee, Burger King, Pizza Hut over there. But there's also a load of pubs by here, so I'm going to see what Gibraltarian pub grub is like. Well, it was a pub after all, so it would have been rude to not get a pint. This one's a San Miguel and was appropriately priced at around £4. For food, for pub grub, I went for some fish and chips, which was fantastic. Batter was particularly crunchy, and yeah, just a all-round really good plate of food, as you can imagine. And just like earlier, walking back across the runway here at Gibraltar International Airport. The Rock is behind me. Not Dwayne Johnson, don't worry about that. I would be interested to find out how many other places in the world you can actually do this. Obviously Tuvalu's 1, here is 2. There's got to be more. It can't just be these 2, can it? Maybe one to research, maybe. There's definitely a theme in the 2 I've done in that I've got incredibly overheated in the day for both. Yeah, oh well. I'm getting back to the border now. Just after we get off the runway. You've got the border pretty much straight away afterwards. There is just this supermarket before you get off.
Thank you.
And just like that, we are back in Spain, back in La Linea. There's a funny little statue by here I want to have a look at before we wander back to the hotel. It's a statue to the Spanish workers who work in Gibraltar. Niche, I like it. Welcome to the hotel. I realise I haven't actually shown you around. It's nothing to shout about, but it was €45 a night, and this is the view. Not bad, eh? This is the room. Decent bed. AC. Plug sockets. Great. Yeah, nothing to shout about, but good view. There's a pool and stuff down there as well. So I'm going to see the night in up here, and we will leave it there for this one. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, stick around. See you next time.